These are just ordinary people who were worried about their pensions and their future. They didn't know much about the property market, so they went for professional advice. But they say the company misled them about the value of the flats they were buying and the rents they could expect to receive. These figures are their estimates of their losses. Many are now facing financial ruin.
I just feel so incredibly bad about it. I just sit there and I just sit and cry. I just don't know which way to go next.
In 2004, Janet paid deposits on 2 flats, one of them here at Victory Hill in Basingstoke. They hadn't been built, so she was promised a special discounted price, $27,000 below the market value. She waited 2 years for the flats to be completed, and during that time house prices were rising rapidly, so she should have been buying a bargain.
The initial view of the apartments was very good, except there were so many of them. There were hundreds here. There are 7 blocks with 40 or 50 in each block, and loads and loads and loads of them were for sale and empty. So I started to get a bit scared.
Her worst fears were confirmed when estate agents told her what the flat was really worth. It may have been overvalued by as much as £50,000. Even with her special discount, she'd paid considerably over the odds.
I drove down here with a great buzz of excitement and thought this is going to be the start of a really good journey for me to put some money together for my retirement so I could be safe. By the time I drove back from here, I was sick, absolutely sick at what I'd done, how stupid I'd been to believe these people, how gullible, how embarrassed, but then panic set in as to how on earth I was going to get myself out of it.
Janet pulled out before completion on her flats. She managed to get some cash refunded, but she says she still lost £40,000. She had been persuaded to buy the properties by this man.
Hi, my name's Jim Moore. Almost 4 years ago, I came up with the concept of Inside Track with a view of offering the benefits of property investment to a much broader audience.
Good afternoon, Inside Track. How may I help you?
Thousands of people attended expensive seminars run by his company, Inside Track.
You invested £5,000 to come here this weekend. How easy is it to save that money on one deal? Very easy if you've got some good knowledge and information. Very easy. Property, you see it, you buy it, done.
Very easy indeed. They would charge thousands more to join a property club, IAP, which was supposed to find them flats at bargain prices.
Has anyone right now got anything that they do that can put them £1.2 million in a bank unencumbered in 5 years?
IAP said it could get these discounts by buying in bulk, and it only recommended developments which met a stringent set of requirements.
Last year, our investors bought 7.6% of the entire UK apartment investment marketplace. And here we are, Paul, now, buying over our first $1 billion deal that they can invest in. Absolutely. Fantastic. Well done for both of us.
Members were told they could be armchair investors and buy with confidence. But they say all they really got was overpriced flats and huge losses.
You don't want to believe that it's all going to go absolutely pear-shaped. We couldn't, and we've spent the last 3 or 4 years watching with horror as every day has brought a worse scenario, and it just keeps on getting worse and worse and worse. And you just can't believe it's happening, but it is.
Tony thought he'd got a bargain when he bought 3 flats at a special discounted price. He was happy to furnish them himself because he says he'd been assured that the rents would more than cover his costs.
At the moment, we're in our 5th month without a tenant. We're having to find all the costs, the service charge and the ground rent and the mortgage.
So what do you anticipate you're going to lose on that flat this year?
I would reckon that's going to be about £8,000 or £9,000 this year, unless we can find something very quickly.
And you've got other flats, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you also losing money on those?
Yeah, oh yes, yeah. There's one in Leeds, yeah, and we lost £8,800 on it.
And you got one more as well,
One
haven't
more.
you?
We've got one in Manchester, and we're talking about 6,000.
Tony says he wasn't just misled about the rents. He bought in 2004 and was promised a 15% discount on the market value. But even though house prices rose for the next 3 years, he too has learnt from estate agents that his properties were never worth what he paid for them.
We should have had an increase in the value of the properties. We never have. None of the 3 properties have ever, when we've had them valued, been anywhere near the supposed market value at the time that we bought them.
Tony works as a gardener and handyman on a country estate near Oxford. He had hoped the flats would provide him with a comfortable pension on which to retire. But now he has to keep working just to avoid bankruptcy. Each month he has to find more than £1,000 towards the mortgages on his flats.
At the moment we dread the post, we dread emails, we dread the phone ringing because it's almost always bad news. In fact, we dread practically everything. The fact is that we've got absolutely nothing good to look forward to.
My name's Jim Moore.
Mr. Moore declined to be interviewed but said in a statement that the projected rents and property prices were based on independent valuations.
IAP made it clear to members that there may be periods when properties are vacant or rents fall below expectations. IAP endeavoured to provide a realistic market price at the time of sale and could not be held responsible for the economic downturn of the past 18 months.
Many of the members we spoke to don't want to be identified because they're ashamed of their losses. Some still haven't even told their families. They were convinced the company would take care of them, and they had such faith in Jim Moore that they invested everything they had.
Well, they encouraged me to take money out of my house. That's what they were encouraging people to do. They said, take money out of your house. This, the money in your house is dead. Well, I wish I'd kept my money in my house because at least I'd have a house now.
Tamsin owned her own home in Haywards Heath. Now she's losing it because she bought 7 properties from IAP. Once again, she says they were all worth far less than she paid, and the rents were nowhere near what she was promised.
The service was about making sure those properties were, one, at a discount, which they repeatedly told us they were at discount levels, and that's all in the brochures, anyone can look at that. And then also they said that the rentals would stack up, and the rentals would cover all the costs. The rentals did not stack up on any one of my 7 properties. My rentals did not stack up for any single one of them, Jim Moore. None of them.
Although Jim Moore's companies were clearly very profitable, IAP has now gone into administration with debts of £11 million. He blames the property slump and the credit crunch, but some of those arriving at today's creditors' meeting don't believe him. Mark and Helen paid a £22,000 deposit on a flat 3 years ago, and it still hasn't been built.
It's nothing to do with the credit crunch, it's to do with negligence and the fact that I've paid membership for someone else to do this paperwork for me, and on the understanding that if I bought them back in 2006 I'd get some discount.
Yeah.
I certainly haven't got discount, and the building hasn't actually even been built. And then 3 days before the company went into administration, they asked me for another £1,000 to try and secure my deposits.
IAP was expecting £15 million commission from developers, but just a few months before it went bust, these IOUs were sold cheaply to another of Jim Moore's companies. The administrator wants this investigated, and he's also raised concerns about payments made to Mr. Moore as the main shareholder.
In the 4 years up to the year-end 2007, the company was very profitable and paid substantial dividends to its shareholders. Something like £23 million was paid in that period. And one of the issues to investigate is whether those dividends were properly paid. All I can say is it's a matter for investigation in the liquidation. I can't really say any more than that. It's been flagged and it will be investigated.
Oh, how did you feel about the meeting today? What's going to happen, do you think?
Well, IAP are being liquidated now.
Yeah.
And there's no money in the pot, really.
Right.
So we've been told we'll get nothing.
They actually have no assets at all, nothing. So even the cars they're driving are leased vehicles, not worth anything.
My name's Jim Moore.
Although Mr. Moore owned IAP, he says he cannot be held responsible for its actions because he was not a director. He says,
IAP advocated that the most attractive returns were to be made through long-term property investments. Members were well-educated, mostly professional individuals who at the time of the purchase were aware of the investment risks.
When IAP went bust, thousands of members were left in limbo. They'd paid deposits on properties, many of which haven't been built. But Jim Moore has already set up a new company, and tonight he's hoping members will part with more money. He's organised a meeting at a Gatwick hotel to persuade them to stay on board.
Excuse me, are you going to the Instant Access Properties meeting tonight?
Tamsin's also here, as she wants to warn people about the risks of investing with Jim Moore.
So he makes promises which, quite frankly, he doesn't keep. You might be interested to read that, and then you can make up your own mind whether you want to invest with this company or not.
But the company's not happy about us filming. We've been ordered off the hotel premises, so I can't go into tonight's meeting, but we do have someone inside, and apparently the man himself, Jim Moore, is there, and guess what? He's still offering property at discounted prices. As people leave, it's clear that Mr. Moore has managed to convince many that their deposits are safe.
I have faith in what Jim and his team are doing, and I'm very happy to be part of it.
I was really reassured tonight, mainly because people were asking straightforward questions and the answers were quite direct.
His last business went bust. Something's got to be wrong, isn't there?
Yes. Human error, lack of crystal balls.
You think it'll be different this time?
Well, I sincerely hope so.
I think that Jim Moore did a good job in terms of answering the questions. He wasn't even ducking and diving and so on.
If he hadn't got something going, I would have tried to track him down to make sure he got my contact details so that I could ask him, when you do start something, I'll be your first member.
Many of our more experienced investors used to share that complete faith in Jim Moore. But now they believe people should forfeit their deposits and simply walk away.
It's really hard to admit you've maybe put 20, 30, 40 or even hundreds of thousands of pounds into what is a pipe dream. So I understand what these people are going through. I really, really do. And I would desperately tell them to try and get out of it, cut the losses, and accept that it's better to draw a line in the sand and stop the losses than it is to go forward and buy into negative equity.
You've saved that money, and to think of actually throwing it away is awful. It's a dreadful thought. But for those people, it is actually the best day's work you could do in your whole lives, rather than go ahead with following anything that man and his company says.